welcome back. So in this video, we will look at another front-end interview problem. So this problem states that we would need to implement our own custom implementation of memoiseOne function. So memoiseOne takes in a function and then it memorizes the result of the most recent arguments passed on that function. So let's say this is an add function and we want to memorize this function. So what will happen is when you call this memorize add function with 1 2 arguments, it will cache this result. It will cache this result, and whenever the same arguments are passed, it will not call this function again. It will just return that cached result. Now, when we pass some other arguments, it will lose the cached result of the last argument, and then it will cache the result of the newly passed arguments. So this memoiseOne function caches one result at a time, and that one result will be the result of the most recent passed arguments. So if you pass another arguments now, it will lose the cached result of the last argument, and then it will cache the result of that most recently passed argument. So let's see how we can implement this. So we know that this thing returns a function. This memoiseOne function returns a function which we can call. So we'll just return a function here. And this function will take some arguments. Now, what we need to do is we will store the result in a variable. So let's say last result and last arguments. So why we need this is last result will be our cached result where we will store the result and we'll return the result whenever the same set of arguments are used. And last arguments are to just know what was the most recently passed argument. Now we will just assign last arguments to arguments. Last result will be we call the function with the passed arguments, and then this thing returns last result. So let's run this and see first if it's working. So we know that it's working as expected. It is 1 plus 2 gives me 3, 1 plus 2 gives me 3, 2 plus 3 gives me 5, 2 plus 3 gives me 5. But here's an issue. It is calling this function add every time. On every function call, it is calling this add function. Whereas if my 1 2 result is cached, it should not call the function here again. It should just give me the cached result. So what I'll check is if last arguments exist and then last arguments dot every index dot every item is equal to item, or let's just do item index is equal to item equal to arguments index. Here we'll just return last result. Now let's see what changes it does. So all right, so first it computes the result of this, it runs a function, and then it checks that 1 2 was our most recently passed arguments, and it has cached the result of it. So we just return 3, we don't compute it again. Now we come here and see there is 2 3, and 2 3 is like different arguments from 1 2, so it removes the cached result from 1 2, computes the result for 2 3, caches the result for 2 3, and then it returns the result for 2 3. So here what we are checking is if last arguments exist and every item of that last arguments is equal to the current set of arguments, then we just return the last result. We don't compute the function here again. So this was all for now. Let me know if there are any questions, and I'll see you next one.